there? Come on out. I got your business dinner right here.
Jesse.
Full House used to be the happiest home on American television, but the cruel irony is that many of the people behind that house carried some of the heaviest tragedies in Hollywood. The most famous TV dad from the show died suddenly in a hotel after a night when he had still been on stage making people laugh. The best-looking man in the house, Uncle Jesse, was sexually abused as a child in real life, then years later struggled with alcohol, DUI, and rehab. The child stars paid the price for becoming famous too early, addiction, eating disorders, and even prison time. You do not believe it, but that is the harsh truth that happened to the cast of Full House. Today, let us go back to that familiar house and look at 15 faces after almost 39 years. Do not go anywhere, because after this video, you may never look at those end-of-episode hugs the same way again. Number 1, Bob Saget as Danny Tanner. Let us start with Bob Saget, the TV dad America thought would always be there. Born in 1956 in Philadelphia, Bob Saget joined Full House when he was only 31. He played Danny Tanner, the widowed father, raising his 3 daughters, DJ, Stephanie, and Michelle. The interesting thing is that in the unaired pilot, Danny was played by John Posey. But when Saget's schedule opened up, the producers brought him back, and from then on, his face became tied to the Tanner house.
Movie, and they had seen me in that.
Saget did
Tom
not
Miller
disappear.
saw me in that and thought I would be right for Danny Tanner. And Jeff Franklin
videos,
wanted
kept doing
me for it
stand-up
after.
comedy later, became the voice of future Ted Mosby in How I Met Your Mother, and then returned for Fuller House. But that man always had 2 very different sides. In American living rooms, he was Danny Tanner clean kind, always with a lesson at the end of the day. On stage, he was an adult comedian, sharper, darker, and definitely not for kids. Saget's private life was not as light as a sitcom episode either. He married Sherry Kramer in 1982, had 3 daughters named Aubrey, Lara, and Jennifer then divorced in 1997. And Bob's family had been followed by loss from very early on. Before he was born, his parents lost 2 twin children. One of those 2 babies was also named Robert. Later, his sister Andrea died from a brain aneurysm. Then his sister Gay died from scleroderma after a lot of pain and multiple wrong diagnoses. That pain did not just pass by like a little footnote. Bob carried it with him for years, became involved with the Scleroderma Research Foundation, raised money for research into the disease, and directed the TV movie For Hope, inspired by Gay's own story. In 2018, he married Kelly Rizzo. It seemed like Bob had found a later chapter, a calmer one. But on January 9th, 2022, he was found dead in a hotel in Florida after a night when he had still been performing stand-up. The official conclusion said he died from head trauma, most likely from an unwitnessed fall. He was 65. What chokes me up the most is that before that, Bob was still touring, still standing on stage, still doing what he had done his whole life, making other people laugh. The last text he sent his daughter had a very Bob Saget spirit, short-loving. Then it was showtime. Bob Saget died alone in a hotel, but that is not the image I want to keep of him. I want to remember him in the Tanner kitchen, sleeves rolled up, face a little tired, still trying to keep the whole family standing. If he ever made your Friday night feel a little lighter, leave a line for Bob Saget. A good TV dad deserves to be sent off with real memories. Number 2, John Stamos as Jesse Katsopoulos. And now John Stamos, the man who looked like nothing could ever knock him down until we learned what he had to brace himself through. Born in 1963 in California, John Stamos was only 24 when Full House premiered in 1987. Before that, he had already made a name for himself as Blackie Parrish on General Hospital. But for mainstream American audiences, Jesse Katsopoulos was the role that turned him into an icon. After Full House, John Stamos kept working steadily. He appeared in ER Glee Scream Queens. You Big Shot returned for Fuller House and also maintained his music image through his longtime connection with the Beach Boys. But behind that image, things were much darker. In 1998, Stamos married Rebecca Romine. The marriage ended in 2005, and later, he said the divorce broke him down for years. It was not just a Hollywood breakup. For Stamos, it brought the feeling of being left behind, being looked at with pity and losing direction right when the image of Uncle Jesse was still too perfect in the public's mind. Then losses piled on top of each other. His father died in 2001, his mother died in 2014. Stamos once said alcohol, divorce, and deaths in the family pulled him down. In 2015, everything broke open publicly when he was arrested in Beverly Hills for driving under the influence. After that, he entered rehab for substance issues and was sentenced to 3 years of probation. But the part that really made me go quiet is what he revealed in his memoir, If You Would Have Told Me. Stamos said he was sexually abused when he was about 10 or 11 by a former babysitter. He did not tell anyone at the time. He buried it for years. Bob Saget's death in 2022 also hit Stamos hard. The two of them were not close right away at first, but after Full House, they became very close friends. When Bob died, Stamos said he almost could not believe it, then broke down when he heard the truth. After everything, Stamos kept going. In 2018, he married Caitlin McHugh. That same year, he had his son Billy when he was already 54. This year, John Stamos is 63. What chokes me up is that behind the line, "Have mercy," is a man who went through divorce, alcohol rehab, buried childhood memories, Bob Saget's death, and still tried to stand up straight so he could be a father to a little boy named Billy. Number 3, Dave Coulier as Joey Gladstone. How could we leave out Dave Coulier, the man who made the Tanner house laugh the loudest, but in real life had years that were not funny at all? Born in 1959 in Michigan, Dave Coulier was 28 when Full House premiered in 1987. Before becoming Joey Gladstone, he was already a stand-up comedian specializing in voice impressions and had done voice work for the real Ghostbusters and Muppet Babies. He also almost made it onto Saturday Night Live for the 1986 season, but was cut before that season aired because he was considered too similar to Dana Carvey. In Full House, Dave played Joey Danny Tanner's best friend, the guy who moved into the house to help raise DJ, Stephanie, and Michelle after Pam's death. Joey had Mr. Woodchuck, his cartoon voice bits, and the line "cut it out" that kids back then repeated everywhere. In 2024, Dave also revealed that he was the one who chose the last name Gladstone for Joey as an adult wordplay joke, a very Dave Coulier detail, a little naughty, a little hidden, sitting underneath the clean family sitcom layer. After the show, Dave kept doing comedy, voice acting, family television, returned in Fuller House, and then hosted the Full House Rewind podcast. But his private life had much heavier stretches. He was once married to Jane Modi and had a son named Luke in 1990, then divorced after about 2 years. After that, he dated Alanis Morissette, and for years, he was pulled into rumors that You Ought to Know was written about him. To be clear, Alanis has not publicly confirmed that. In 2022, Dave publicly shared that he was an alcoholic and had not had a drink since January 1st, 2020. He once called himself the sad clown type, someone who makes other people laugh while having real problems inside. Then his health hit him very hard. In 2024, Dave was diagnosed with stage 3 non-Hodgkin lymphoma. In 2025, he discovered a new cancer at the base of his tongue and had to go through 35 radiation treatments. By 2026, he said he was in remission from both cancers. At the same time, he had become a grandfather when Luke had his first son. This year, Dave Coulier is 67 and living a healthy life after quitting alcohol and going through 2 cancers. Number 4, Candace Cameron Bure as DJ Tanner. DJ Tanner used to be the daughter every TV dad wanted to have. Candace Cameron Bure in real life is a lot more complicated. Born in 1976, Candace was only 11 when Full House premiered in 1987. She played DJ Tanner, the oldest Tanner daughter the character audiences watched grow up across 8 seasons. In real life, Candace married former NHL player Valeri Bure in 1996, and they had 3 children, Natasha Lev and Maxime. From the outside, it looked like the kind of lasting family that is rare in Hollywood. But in 2025, she said her marriage had gone through a very hard period to the point where they were not sure they would make it through. The more private crack was bulimia. Candace has said it began around age 18 after Full House. By 2025, she still said that even though she no longer had bulimic behaviors, those thoughts were still there, and she still had to manage them. To me, that detail completely changes the image of DJ. The girl who seemed so put together on TV grew up fighting a quiet battle with her body and the way she saw herself. Then Candace stepped into an even more tense public space. She was once a co-host of The View and later said the experience caused stress anxiety, even using the word PTSD. In 2022, JoJo Siwa called her the rudest celebrity she had ever met, and Candace had to speak up and apologize. That same year, she left Hallmark for Great American Family. Her comment that the network would focus on traditional marriage drew heavy criticism, especially from the LGBTQ supportive community. Even Jodie Sweetin, her on-screen sister Stephanie, later said they still respect each other but have major differences in politics and lifestyle. This year, Candace Cameron Bure is 50. DJ Tanner once made the Tanner house seem simple. Candace in real life reminds us that when a child star grows up, she does not just carry the audience's memories. She also carries her beliefs, wounds, choices, and even debates that no sitcom episode can solve in 22 minutes. Number 5, Jodie Sweetin as Stephanie Tanner. Stephanie Tanner once made America laugh with 2 words. Jodie Sweetin in real life had an adulthood that was not easy to laugh at. Born in 1982 in Los Angeles, Jodie was only 5 when Full House premiered in 1987. She played Stephanie Tanner from preschool age to 13, basically growing up right in front of the audience. John Stamos once said he almost wanted to leave the show after the first table read because the child actors, especially Jodie, stood out so much. But her story did not begin like a Hollywood fairy tale. Jodie was adopted as a baby after turmoil involving her biological parents. When Full House ended in 1995, she was only 13, and the emptiness came very fast. Jodie once said the first time she drank to the point of blackout was around 13 or 14 at Candace Cameron Bure's wedding in 1996. Hearing that honestly made me freeze. A little girl had just stepped out of the Tanner house, and she had already touched alcohol in a way that was far too early, far too heavy. After that came years of addiction. Jodie abused alcohol, crystal meth, cocaine, and other substances. She told that journey in her memoir, Unsweetened, not as one small slip, but as a long period of shame, hiding treatment, sobriety, and relapse. Her love life also had many breaks. She married Sean Holgan, then Cody Herpin, then Morty Coyle. She has 2 daughters, Zoe and Beatrix. After that, her relationship with Justin Hodak ended with a restraining order. But Jodie did not stop there. In 2025, she said she had gone 16 years without alcohol and 13 years since her last relapse with pills after a car accident. She worked in the field of addiction recovery publicly, spoke about surviving sexual assault, and in 2022 was even shoved to the ground during a protest in support of abortion rights in Los Angeles. This year, Jodie Sweetin is 44. She is married to Mescal Wasilewski, is a mother, acts, and hosts the How Rude Tanneritos podcast with Andrea Barber. Number 6, Mary-Kate Olsen and Ashley Olsen as Michelle Tanner. Born in 1986 in California, Mary-Kate and Ashley were only one when Full House went on the air in 1987, and they started filming when they were only about 9 months old. The 2 sisters took turns playing Michelle Tanner for 8 seasons, largely because child labor laws limited how long a baby could work on set. When audiences heard Michelle say, "You got it, dude," they saw an adorable little girl. But behind that were 2 children growing up with filming schedules, contracts, cameras, and a brand that was expanding very fast. When Full House ended in 1995, they were only 9, but that was not the stopping point. Dual Star turned Mary-Kate and Ashley into a children's empire: video, movies, books, magazines, fashion, consumer products. It Takes 2, 2 of a kind. So Little Time, then New York Minute in 2004. By the time many girls their age were still figuring out who they were already a brand worth millions of dollars. After New York Minute, Ashley almost left acting completely. Mary-Kate still took a few scattered roles, but eventually both of them moved into fashion. In 2006, they founded The Row, then turned it into a truly high-end brand winning major CFDA awards. What is worth saying is that they did not try to live off Michelle Tanner's glow. They almost did the opposite. Few interviews, few appearances, few explanations. Their private lives also had heavy parts. In 2004, right after turning 18, Mary-Kate entered treatment for an eating disorder. In 2008, her name was pulled into the media after Heath Ledger's death, but her lawyer denied she had anything to do with the source of the drugs. Later, she married Olivier Sarkozy in 2015, and the divorce was finalized in 2021. Ashley stayed more private, married Lua Eisner at the end of 2022, and had a son named Otto in 2023, almost in silence. Number 7. Lori Loughlin as Rebecca Becky Donaldson Katsopoulos.
I'm a good cook.
Aunt Becky used to be the woman the whole Tanner family could trust. Lori Loughlin, in real life, had the kind of fall that made all of America look at her differently. Born in 1964 in New York, Lori Loughlin was 24 when she appeared on Full House. This year, Lori Loughlin is 62. She played Rebecca Donaldson, Danny's co-worker on Wake Up San Francisco, then became Jesse's wife and the mother of Nikki and Alex. At first, Becky was only supposed to be a short character arc, but audiences liked her so much that Lori became a regular face on the show. After Full House, Lori followed the family television path. She had Summerlin 90210, then became a familiar Hallmark face with Garage Sale Mystery and When Calls the Heart. Before 2019, her image was very clean, pretty gentle, trustworthy, exactly the kind of TV woman middle-aged American viewers could turn on in the living room without worrying about anything. Lori's private life used to look that calm too. She married designer Massimo Giannulli in 1997 and had 2 daughters, Isabella Rose and Olivia Jade. But in 2019, everything broke open with the college admissions scandal Operation Varsity Blues. Lori and Massimo were accused of paying $500,000 to get their 2 daughters into USC as fake rowing athletes. Lori received 2 months in prison, 2 years of supervised release, a $150,000 fine, and 100 hours of community service. Massimo received 5 months in prison, a $250,000 fine, and 250 hours of community service. Hallmark cut ties with her. When Calls the Heart had to edit her character out. Netflix also did not bring her back for Fuller House. After prison, Lori came back step by step through When Hope Calls, Fall into Winter Curb, Your Enthusiasm, Blue Bloods, and then On Call. In 2025, she and Massimo separated after almost 28 years of marriage. That same year, she was confirmed to be returning to When Calls the Heart. Number 8, Andrea Barber as Kimmy Gibbler. Kimmy Gibbler used to be the neighbor the Tanner family always wanted to kick out the door. Andrea Barber, in real life, was the one who quietly left Hollywood before Hollywood ever had a chance to push her out. Born in 1976 in Los Angeles, Andrea was 11 when Full House premiered in 1987. Before that, she had acted on Days of Our Lives. But for most American viewers, Andrea will always be Kimmy Gibbler, DJ's best friend. The girl with loud clothes, awkward comments, and the habit of walking into the Tanner house like she had her own key. When Full House ended in 1995, Andrea did not try to cling to the spotlight. She pretty much left acting, studied English at Whittier College, then earned a master's degree in women's studies at the University of York in England. After that, she worked in education. That was not a Hollywood downfall. That was a very clear-headed choice. But Andrea's everyday life was not light at all. In 2002, she married Jeremy Ritke. They had a son, Tate, in 2004 and a daughter, Felicity, in 2007, then divorced in 2014. After becoming a mother, Andrea faced anxiety, depression, and postpartum depression. She once said there were times when she could not eat, could not get out of bed, could not take care of her children normally, and was even afraid to be alone with her own feelings. In 2019, she wrote the memoir Full Circle, talking about leaving Hollywood motherhood, divorce, mental health, and her journey back. By Fuller House, Kimmy was no longer just the annoying neighbor everyone complained about. She became one of the 3 women holding the new house together. This year, Andrea Barber is 50. She hosts the podcast How Rude Tanneritos with Jodie Sweetin and still stays connected with the cast. Number 9, Scott Weinger as Steve Hale. Steve Hale used to be the guy who could clean out the Tanner family fridge. Scott Weinger in real life chose a more disciplined path than most teen heartthrobs of that era. Born in 1975 in New York, Scott was about 16 when Steve Hale appeared on Full House. Steve was DJ Tanner's most important boyfriend. The interesting thing is that while audiences remembered Scott as Steve, a whole other generation of kids heard his voice somewhere completely different. He was the speaking voice of Aladdin in Disney's 1992 animated movie, and in many projects after that. Unlike many young actors from that time, Scott has no major confirmed scandals. No tabloid collapse, no prison sentence, no loud controversy. After his teen heartthrob years, he graduated from Harvard in 1998, magna cum laude, with a degree in English and American literature. Then, instead of trying to hold on to the image of the handsome young guy forever, he moved into television writing and producing. Scott worked behind the camera on 90210, Black-ish, Gallivant, The Muppets, and Paradise. He married writer and producer Rena Mimoun in 2008, and they have one son. Later, he returned as Steve in Fuller House, giving DJ and Steve fans the nostalgic ending they wanted. This year, Scott Weinger is 51. To me, the admirable thing about him is how steady his life has been. He walked away from the glow of young fame, kept his private life clean, chose school, chose the writer's room, and proved that sometimes surviving Hollywood means knowing when to stand behind the camera. Number 10. Blake Tuomi-Wilhoit and Dylan Tuomi-Wilhoit as Nikki and Alex Katsopoulos. Nikki and Alex did not grow up in front of us as long as Michelle Tanner did. They appeared later, said less, then disappeared from the screen almost completely. Blake and Dylan Tuomi-Wilhoit were born in 1990 in Los Angeles. This year, both are 36. In Full House, Blake played Nikki and Dylan played Alex, the twin sons of Jesse and Becky. When the characters were still babies in Season 5, the roles were played by Daniel and Kevin Renteria. From Season 6 to Season 8, Blake and Dylan became the two faces audiences remember. After the show ended, the two brothers pretty much did not chase acting. And honestly, that seems pretty healthy. No major scandal, no desperate grip on the spotlight, no turning a sitcom childhood into their whole life. Dylan moved into sound work, working on major projects like Game of Thrones, Black Sails, Lovecraft Country, and Masters of the Air. He has received multiple Emmy nominations and has won an Emmy in sound. Blake also worked behind the scenes, once having a Foley mixer credit, and was recently mentioned when his wife, Hai Rim Choi, filed for divorce in 2024, after 5 years of marriage. Number 11. Gail Edwards as Vicki Larson. Not everyone who leaves Hollywood is abandoned by Hollywood. Gail Edwards is the kind of person who walked out on her own while the door was still open. Born in 1952, Gail Edwards is 74 this year. Before joining Full House, she already had a pretty solid career with theater, It's a Living, and many television guest roles. In Full House, she played Vicki Larson, Danny Tanner's co-worker on Wake Up San Francisco. Vicki appeared from 1991 to 1993. Not for very long, but long enough for audiences to remember her. But in real life, Gail did not leave because she ran out of work. Around the same period as Full House, she was also on Blossom. Before that, she had It's a Living. In 1994, after finishing her roles on Full House and Blossom, Gail retired from acting and moved to the Southwest, later becoming connected with Sedona, Arizona. What I like about this story is that she did not try to turn her disappearance into a mystery. Gail once said a Hollywood career should be a blessing, not a prison sentence. After show business, she lived more quietly joined. Her local community did charity work, the Elks Lodge programs for veterans, and even local theater. In 2017, she returned for Fuller House after 24 years. Casting even spent months trying to find her because she had left the Hollywood grid. She appeared again in the finale in 2020. Number 12. Taj Mowry as Teddy. Some supporting actors do not need much screen time to open up a whole memory drawer. Taj Mowry's Teddy is exactly that kind of role. Born in 1986 in Honolulu, Taj Mowry is 40 this year. He played Teddy Michelle Tanner's best friend when he was only about 5. This year, Taj Mowry is 40. The role was not as big as DJ Stephanie or Michelle, but for Full House fans, Teddy is a very clear part of the later seasons when Michelle started having her own world outside the Tanner house. One pretty interesting behind-the-scenes detail is that Taj was not confused at all when acting opposite Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen as they took turns playing Michelle. He is the younger brother of Tia and Tamara Mowry, so working with twins was basically familiar territory at home. That made Teddy and Michelle feel more natural on screen. After Full House, Tajay did not get stuck as Michelle's little friend. He became TJ Henderson on Smart Guy, appeared on Sister Sister Voiced, Wade Load on Kim Possible, then played Tucker Dobbs on Baby Daddy. More recently, he appeared in The Muppets Mayhem. He also makes music, once releasing Flirt and the EP Future Funk. Number 13, Journey Smollett as Denise Fraser. Born in 1986 in New York, Journey is 40 this year. In Full House, she played Denise Fraser, Michelle Tanner's friend. The role was not big, but it was enough for fans to remember her in the world around Michelle. Journey is one of the 6 Smollett siblings and once acted with her family on Our Own. But she did not get trapped in children's sitcoms. After Full House, she had Eve's Bayou, then Cosby, The Great Debaters, Friday Night Lights, True Blood Underground, Birds of Prey, and Lovecraft Country. Her role in Lovecraft Country earned her an Emmy nomination. Journey married musician Josiah Bell, had a son named Hunter, then filed for divorce in 2020. After that, she talked about herself as a single working mom, both grateful for motherhood and honest about how big of a challenge it is. She also had to live through the media pressure surrounding the case involving her brother Jussie Smollett. To be clear, that was not Journey's scandal, but for her family, it was a public and painful storm. This year, Journey is still working, still being a mother, and still careful when talking about letting her son step into acting. Number 14. Miko Hughes as Aaron Bailey. Miko Hughes was born in 1986 in California, and this year he is 40. In Full House, he played Aaron Bailey Michelle Tanner's classmate, appearing from 1990 to 1995. But Aaron is only a very light piece of Miko's strange career. He started acting when he was only 22 months old, then appeared in his first movie just a few months after that. Before many kids even knew what they wanted to do, Miko had already been in Pet Sematary Kindergarten, Cop Wes Craven's New Nightmare, Apollo 13, Spawn, and Mercury Rising. To Full House fans, he is Aaron, the little friend who drove Michelle crazy. But to horror fans, he is Gage Creed in Pet Sematary, one of the most haunting child images in late 80s Stephen King movies. This year, Miko Hughes is 40. And if Miko is a small supporting role whose career outside Full House was stranger than we might have thought, then the final name has a very personal twist of her own. The girl who was once Stephanie's bad influence, then many years later had to explain to her own children that their mom was not as bad as the character on TV. Number 15, Marla Sokoloff as Gia Mahan. Marla Sokoloff was born in 1980 in San Francisco. This year, she is 46. In Full House, she played Gia Mahan in the final 2 seasons, Stephanie Tanner's rebellious friend. Gia smoked, had an attitude, spoke with an edge, and was exactly the kind of friend every American dad at the time did not want his daughter getting too close to. But Marla did not get stuck as Gia. After Full House, she had The Practice Friends, Desperate Housewives, Dude, Where's My Car, Sugar and Spice, then returned as Gia in Fuller House. She was also once considered for the role of Topanga in Boy Meets World before the role went to Danielle Fishel. In real life, Marla once dated James Franco, then married musician Alec Puro in 2009. They have 3 daughters, Elliot, Olive, and Harper. In 2024, she said her daughters were shocked when they saw her playing Gia and smoking in a scene on Full House. Gia was Stephanie's bad influence. Marla in real life is a mother and actress and now also writes movies, including Netflix's The Married Gentleman. To me, that is a beautiful way to close the list. Almost 39 years later, nobody is still frozen inside the old memory. All of them have grown up, changed, and kept living. Almost 39 years later, the Full House cast are no longer just faces frozen in the Tanner kitchen. They have aged, lost people, fallen down, started over, left Hollywood, come back, or chosen to live quietly outside the spotlight. And honestly, Full House is incredibly cheesy. The lessons at the end of the episodes are sometimes too clean, too neat, almost too easy to believe. But I am glad I grew up with it. Because for some people, real family in real life does not look anything like the Tanner family. It may be colder, it may be more toxic. Maybe no one sits down at the end of the day to ask whether you are okay. And if you learned a few kind things from a sitcom instead of from the actual house you grew up in, I do not think that is anything to be ashamed of. At Weird Movie Secrets, nobody has to remember a movie the same way. So out of these 15 stories, who surprised you the most, and what is Full House to you a show that is way too cheesy? A family memory or a place that once taught you something real life did not?